Hello, good evening, morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are. Welcome to the Stone and Starlight Carnival on the Critical Misses Twitch channel. My name is Abby Gellner, she, her, and it is my honor and privilege to invite you once again to a session of Under Hollow Hills, a role-playing game by Meggie and Vincent Baker, in which we portray the performers and workers in a traveling circus that moves between fairyland and the mortal world. Quick note before we begin, there's a storm blowing up through here, so hopefully that won't affect our broadcast, but if it does, you know why. Now, I would like the chance, once again, to introduce our lovely cast. Please tell us your name, your pronouns, and who your character is. Let's start with Max.
Hello, I'm Max. I use he, they pronouns, and I play Cal, or for I think this particular session, Calix, who also uses he, they pronouns. Should I pass it?
Yes, please.
Heku, you're next to me on the overlay. So you go.
Hello. Yes. My name is Peku. My pronouns are they, them, and I am playing Gento, whose pronouns are also they, them. Gento is the troll. I will pass it along to Allegro, who's also next to me in the layout.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. I'm Allegro. You can also find me as Learning Allegro. I use they, any pronouns, and I am playing Colibri, occasionally Colibri Clover, occasionally a different name, depending on the season, who uses they or her pronouns. To you, Pluto.
Hi everyone, I'm Pluto. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me everywhere at Pluto Cleric. I am playing Grace Daffodil Moonbee. Pronouns she, her, also known as crazy clown girl who adopts random people.
And as I said before, my name is Abby, she, her, and I have the pleasure and privilege of being the mistress of ceremonies tonight, the voice of the people, the places, and everything in between we encounter whilst on tour. Last time on the Stone and Starlight Carnival, Grace Daffodil Moonbeam inadvertently stumbled into the mortal world and crashed into a group of college students who were hoping to meet a ghost. The rest of the circus soon followed, and after a few beers decided to put on a show for the benefits of the students and the ghost. The show was a rousing success, gaining the blessing of the guardians of the land, the regard of the ghost, and a new recruit for the circus itself, Cookie, the human clown. However, the circus has now found itself marooned, at least for now, in the mortal world. Several weeks have passed since then, and the circus has been traveling westward, on paths and trails that most mortals have long since forgotten. Your wagons have left the forests and prairies of the Midwest, rolled across the Great Plains, and traversed the Rocky Mountains. Along the way, you have played small shows for the benefits of mortals, for fairies, sometimes just for the plants, animals, and even the land itself. In between, you've had time to practice new acts, pursue other projects, and change the passing of the seasons. Before now, I asked everybody to step twice towards winter to reflect the toil of the journey. So I'd like to start in reverse order of the introductions. Tell us what your character is like, how they've changed, and what they've been doing since that summer in Ohio. Pluto, please.
As for what they've been doing, I think most of the 2 weeks has been spent on Cookie's training, honestly, trying to get him into a little more of his own routine that he can do outside of just the hula hoop that they displayed in the initial act. Change-wise, outfit's pretty much the same. I think the makeup has subdued just a tad. There's not as many like bright red color in. And their smile has lessened a tad, and their eyes have gotten a little crazier, if that's possible. But no outward like appearance changes to like the outfit or anything like that.
Wonderful. All right. Colibri Clover, how have you changed and what have you been up to?
Calibri's usually a bit more like bright. Like in summer, they've got very much the vibrant greens and golds about them, from their feathers to their outfit. They're usually quite like cheerful, ready to engage with anyone and everyone. As changing into seasons, she's definitely kind of gotten sharper in the eyes, and everything even it just has sharpened, and the kind of like fun greens of the hair and plumage have started to turn copper and black, less like a fun little hummingbird and a little bit more like a crow. And probably has, I assumed, been bouncing between making sure everyone's good and not lost, and making sure that Calyx isn't going to lock themselves up in their cart forever when things get rough.
All right, Gento, how have you changed, and how have you spent your time on the road?
So, almost immediately after the whole thing in Ohio, Gento realized that the helmet, the tiny helmet that they've been bringing around, went missing. And that went on for almost half of their stay in the human world this time. And you see, as time passes by, you see Gento slowly turning, like their aura kind of turns from someone who is like nurturing and considerate to just someone who's just so high strung that something so special to them is missing. Eventually they found it. It was under the wagon, the cart that BB was bringing along. They don't know how that happened. It was just hanging right under. But in any case, the toll already happened, and Gento is now just very, very stressed about everything that happened with it, because Gento also caught some, like, while they were having their stops while going westward, Gento heard a few stories here and there that may have like put them a little less at ease. So now, as they're going onward to their trek, Gento is wearing something that looks like less of a mismatch, more of like it's very simplified clothing in a sense, but it's still an eyesore. So Gento's wearing a sweater with weird patterns on it. Let's just say it's a cat pattern. And then you see Gento, like, as they're on the cart and BB's pulling the cart, Gento like pulls out a scarf, like a very bright scarf, scoffs at it, and then just does. Well, I guess this is what haute couture means these days.
Positively adorable. All right.
I only learned what haute couture means like a few weeks ago watching Project Runway. So, your best guess is as good as mine, really. So appearance-wise, Calyx has had a few winter changes. The kind of like snow that had briefly crept up their horns in the small winter shift they had last time has kind of completely taken over the base of them, as like the tips of the horns have just completely gone chrome. And he's taken to basically wrapping them in bandage when he leaves his cart, as for no one to see it. He typically would wear a lot of things that were loose layers, flowy, but he's taken to things that are heavier and more constrictive in clothing, things that are velvet, things that like a harness to keep his posture right. He hasn't performed a single time since the last time they were in Ohio, other than occasionally serving as the master of ceremonies for the performances or the ring leader, but they haven't done an act, and Colibri is trying to keep them from locking themselves in their room all the time, but it is not for lack of his trying.
Yeah.
He's trying.
Yeah. Luckily, your mechanical manservant has the key to your cart and will just always open the door if anybody asks, and it's a little annoying.
Can overhear. We talked about this about once a week.
All right, wonderful. All right, so this time in the mortal world has been difficult. But you all know that there are places and times when the veil between worlds will thin enough for you to pass over. The small town of Tsiatcha on the coast of British Columbia is due to have such an event very soon. Before long, your destination is in sight. A quaint village not far from the slate-gray waters of the Pacific. The town itself is a mix of timber and red brick homes, and nearby is a massive orchard, branches heavy with red and yellow fruit. As you get closer, you can smell fresh apples on the branch, mixing with the salt of the sea and the faint tickle of sawdust. The orchard and town are teeming with activity, adults and children alike fetching large bushels full of apples, tin tubs, and odd contraptions of wood and brass. You can also hear singing, slow, sonorous work songs. Come all ye bull-necked loggers, and hear me sing my song. For it is very short, and it will not keep ye long. We had blankets for to travel, biscuits for the chaw. We were in search of pitchbacks way up in the Yucatan. This is the environment you find yourselves approaching. It appears that there is some sort of harvest going on. There are mortals here, but you can also tell that you can feel that thinning of the veil. It's not quite thin enough yet for you to just move over, but it isn't a coincidence that this festival of some kind is happening at the same time. What do you do?
Who's at the start of the caravan at this point?
What do you think?
Do you think that Calix would have fell back a little bit?
Alex is either in the front to be a control freak and make all of the directional decisions, or all the way in the back so nobody talks to him. Which one of those it is, I really don't know. I could roll the die.
I don't think Grace would be trusted to be in the front, so
The real question is, could anyone stop her?
that's also fair.
Cookie should be in the front.
LOL.
Cookie's
Okay.
driving now. I can't be trusted.
If you can drive through all the cornfields of Ohio, you can drive the Carnival caravan.
I can confirm that.
All right, so in that case, Grace, is Cookie been sharing a cart with you this whole time?
Yeah, my cart's literally a TARDIS. There's plenty of room for Cookie to share and have their own space, even.
Okay, cool. All right, so Cookie is seated atop your wagon, kind of still guiding your large rhinoceros beetle, whose name I have forgotten. Excuse me. Stanley, how could I forget? Yes, Stanley. Having a pleasant conversation with him as they travel onward, and then he sees the town. He sees that and goes, Hey, I think this is it. Oh, wow. Should we go down there? We haven't really been into a town since we left.
The little window on the door to the inside of the cavern will open up, and Grace will just stick their head out upside down. Yeah, I think that works. What? Oh, it looks like they're in a party. Could be fun. We have time to kill before I think we can like cross over or whatever. I don't know. Cal would know more about that than me. But yeah, let's go for it. I mean, we're in the lead, so they have to follow us anyway. So onward, Stanley.
You got it, boss. And Stanley begins to trundle across the fields towards the town with the rest of the wagons in tow, I'm assuming. All right. As you get closer, people start to notice your arrival. It's hard not to. You're a very colorful cohort with wagons being pulled in a time when wagons aren't usually pulled, and some of them pulled by animals that aren't normally pulling wagons. So as you get closer, a looks like a human being in sturdy work clothes begins to walk down the road to approach you. He is tall, kind of in his mid-30s, kind of got a dad bod going on. And he approaches and kind of goes up to Stanley. Doesn't look that surprised, all things considered, to be seeing a horse-sized rhinoceros beetle, and goes, Well, good to see you, strangers. What brings you to town?
Just passing through. We saw your festival. Looks like fun. You mind if we set up here?
It depends. What do you do?
We're the best circus in your realm and ours. And I pop out of the door at this point, and there's just my full clown fairy self in front of them. And I do like a pose.
And he looks you over a bit. Again, doesn't look all that surprised or impressed, all things considered. And goes, Yeah, that figures. Well, if you want to put on a show, you're welcome to do it. Well, it's not my job to decide. I'll have to take you to the Harvest Crown. She'll decide.
Sounds good to me. I'll let Cal know. They're the boss. They don't think they're the boss, but they're the boss.
This is true.
All right. Let me know when you're ready. I'll take you to her.
Sounds good. And then I'll just Grace will just turn and just yell for the three of the rest of the party.
Okay, all right. I think Colibri would probably take it upon themselves to kind of go flit around and see where everyone is. Like, oh, I think we're meeting someone. Oh, I think we're setting up. Come join us.
Did she really need to yell all the way down here? Couldn't have just like...
Yeah, I'm still yelling. Like I haven't stopped.
If you need some beeswax to plug your ears, I can do that, but we should probably... I think it's going to keep going until we get there.
I've realized that. And Calix is just getting their coat on to go meet the rest of the group.
At some point, you hear Gento's voice call back to Grace. Yes, we get it. Yes, please.
Love you, Gento.
Sure.
Ouch.
You know we're having a rough time of it when Gento's like, I've had enough of you, actually.
You just hear like a little giggle trail off over the wind. And then Grace just signals Cookie to set our cart up somewhere.
As soon as everyone's kind of like stopping, like most of the caravan is stopping, Gento immediately like pulls out a tiny notebook out of nowhere seemingly, and then goes from cart to cart, wagon to wagon, asking what they need to like resupply and then whatever. Basically just doing logistics. uh, and then goes like, "Okay, what do you need? That's all? You sure? Because last time you said you didn't need this, and then you needed it." And then it goes on like that, and then Gento goes back to the front where most likely, I guess, Grace, Calibri, and Calix would be. And then brings up the list and says, "That's all we need, supposedly."
I'll have this seen too, and I will take the list and look over it to make sure that it is seen to.
You actually notice like that the list has things that you're sure the other people did not say that they need because Gento already assumed that they won't say it anyway.
I think Calix knows that you, as a well-seasoned member, even if silly sometimes, know what the people actually need for supplies.
And then Gento goes, "Did I hear that right? We're gonna perform?"
Oh, yeah. And I swing my arm around Cal and pull them close. So this guy needs to lead you to their leader. So we needed our leader. So I yelled for you to come talk to him because you're in charge of that stuff. And then I just give Cal a little push forward.
Did I hear that right? Did they say something about a crown? Who are we going to talk to?
The Harvest Queen or something, I think.
They have a queen.
I don't know. I thought mortals got rid of queens a while ago.
Me too.
Oh, I mean, mostly. So did I.
Grace is right, though. We should perform here. I think we're close to the barrier. I can just feel it, like before it rains.
Petrichor, but beforehand and for fairies.
Oh, not the smell, the joint ache.
That was less fun.
It's not
Like,
so
that's
bad.
like kind of an old thing. I'm just like, ugh, the veil between worlds is thin here. I can feel it in my knees.
Confirmed, Cal's Karen Smith. I mean, we have time to kill. It's probably going to take a while for it to fully for us to go over, so we can enjoy the festival and perform, and then hopefully go home.
That's why we should perform. If we're successful, we should be able to pierce the barrier, give it the extra push. And I would very much like to go home.
All right,
I think we could all just go home.
All right. So in that case, do you follow this daddy, for lack of a better word?
I will.
Yeah.
Follow the daddy. Important.
Say less.
Say less.
All right. So he leads the caravan into town. You do get some more looks of surprise, mainly from the younger people, the children, stop and point. There's a lot of excitement going on. It is an air of celebration, though also one of hard work. You can see people kind of limbering up, getting ready, like they are about to put in a very rough day of work. But he leads you to the largest building in town, which is a long, low timber building that you can tell from a sign is the meeting hall of the town of Tsiacha. And seated on a large chair, could be a throne, made out of wood and flowers and hay bales, is a middle-aged woman dressed in a long gown, wearing a crown made out of branches and florals and apples, a bit like the one I'm wearing now. and she's got very, very long dark hair, dark skin, and she looks over you all imperiously for a moment and then goes, "Well, howdy, welcome! Welcome to Tsiacha, travelers."
Hello.
Your Highness. And knowing that it's like the proper thing to do for a queen, and I think not connecting that this is not an actual queen, Calix will bow.
Oh, well, aren't you a charmer? Oh, no need to stand on ceremony, though. This is just a ceremonial position. My name is Emily Huckstep. I've been elected the Harvest Queen this year. It's just a little thing we do for our town celebration, you understand.
Right. Elected.
Can elect the queen now?
No, you cannot.
Like I said, it's ceremonial. There ain't no political power that comes with it. Though I am the head of the PTA in town, so that's unrelated.
What's a PTA? Sounds like a powerful organization. They can elect queens.
All right. Our performing group has come up to Tsiacha, you said?
That's
this
right.
Town is called. We were passing through here. We noticed the gathering of people in celebratory manner, and we are performers, and so we would love to, or I would love to, dispatch our performers to put on a show here.
Oh, well, ain't that nice? I don't see why not. Lord knows that after we get all of the cider press, we could use a little bit of entertainment.
Cider, now that's one I know.
Yeah, no, this is a little thing we do here every year. We celebrate the first harvest and the first cider pressing. We do it the old-fashioned way, the way our great-grandparents used to do. And this is just for us, for ourselves, and for the folks that help us out in the orchard. Then we do the real Harvest and Cider Fest when we want to actually sell it down in Vancouver.
Sounds splendid. Is there a particular kind of show that you might like put on? I do believe we have someone that can shoot apples from the air.
Oh, well, now that would be fitting. Yeah, we don't normally get much in the way of entertainment and visitors around here. Although this is the prettiest town this side of the Nemaya Valley, it's, a little bit out of the way, as you can no doubt tell. But, yeah, I think we want something a little bit uplifting, perhaps. It's an important occasion, but it ain't a sad occasion. We don't want to bring folks down.
You've got it. I'm sure that can be arranged.
Lovely. Yeah, we can make sure, help you get squared away with everything, get you set up with your ticket stands, any rides, I don't know what y'all have. But just do what you got to do, and feel free to enjoy our little town. I got to go initiate the ceremony. That's the word.
We do love ceremonies. Good luck.
All right, thanks. And she kind of gets off of the throne that she's on. Little difficult in her floor-length gown, but she manages it and begins to head her way towards the orchard. Now you have an occasion. You are going to be performing for this festival, and you are going to do that. Something I forgot to mention, you'll be doing that after the work is done, to kind of round things out and give everyone a reason to relax and kick back and enjoy some light entertainment. And you have all this time now to prepare and check things out.
And they say when the work is done, is that like in the evening or like on a different day?
But in the evening, today.
Well, I think perhaps we need have a little bit of a pick-me-up as part of our planning.
Yeah, I heard cider. That's the only thing that I picked up during that whole conversation. They have cider here.
Yeah,
I hate to concur with Grace, but likewise.
Right.
Likewise with Calyx.
All right.
So we go find a barrel or two of cider and plan out our show?
It would be wise for us to walk around and get a feel of the events that they have so we don't copy by accident.
Yeah, that could be good too.
Unless it's a cool homage. I wonder if they have anything about the history of this place. How long have these trees been here, for example?
I could ask them if it matters.
With all these
Maybe we should.
with all these trees around too, we could probably set up a couple wires and do our acrobatic routine, Allegro. Or calibrate, sorry. I looked at the Zoom window.
That's very possible. Yes. Let's go find cider, and then perhaps we can find inspiration along the way.
Let's do it.
Right. So you all go into town looking for cider. You find several jugs and barrels that are ready to be filled, but aren't filled yet. And if you ask someone, they say, "Well, making the cider is what we're about today."
Oh, because it's the first pressing today. There's no cider.
So does that mean we have to help him first?
I mean, your help would be appreciated, but, we certainly don't expect you to. You're our guests, after all. But, everyone, this is the way our town works. Everyone pitches in, everyone gets a share.
Do you turn a profit from this?
Well, not today's work. We do sell, we do export our apples and our cider out to the rest of the province. We're pretty well known in, we won a lot of contests for our cider and stuff like that, but we're not, just for today is just about the community.
Right. Makes sense. I will lean to Grace and say, "So there is no cider until after we perform."
Grace, I can't hear you. Oh, there you are.
I wanted fresh cider. I could make some, but it's not the same. That sounds like work. Bleh.
And then Genta kind of pops in and says, "Well, if there's no cider, let's just go for, I don't know, water, and then just start preparing."
Yeah, I would like to take a lap kind of around the area, the town area to get a sense of what kind of things they have set up decoration wise or anything like that.
All right. So in the area around the town, what you do notice is, this is a very small town. There is kind of like a village green area where there's definitely room for you to set up. They've set up a bunch of picnic tables out there, presumably with food for later, along with all the cider and everything like that. You do see a bandstand, so presumably there's going to be some music at some point. Otherwise, I would like you to sniff the wind.
Okay, I can sniff the wind. I finally followed through on my threat and put the other dice in a box and took out not new dice, but different dice. So, That is much better. This is 2d6, right?
That's right.
So that is a 10.
A 10. All right. On a 10, you can ask 2 from the list. What's coming this way? What here haven't I seen? Whose territory is this? If I trust my feet to carry me to safety, where will they take me? How would I make myself invisible here? And if I could trust my nose to lead me to the heart of this, where would it take me next? You get 2 questions.
I'd like to start with what here haven't I seen?
Yes. So one thing you notice is something that you kind of noticed as you were coming in, and it's stronger now, is you know there are definitely Fae around here. You haven't seen them yet, though. They got to be somewhere. They're not in the town proper. You know that much.
Okay. And then the what lies at the heart of this question I would like to ask.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So based on everything, so you see, these very autumnal, very harvest-themed decorations. You've seen these at 100 little towns in both the fairy world and the mortal world. You do notice something else, which is not far from the village green. There is a stump with a very large wood axe sticking out of it. And you can tell there's been special care taken of this axe. It's an axe that sees use and not always for wood.
Huh. I would like to point that out to the group, that there's kind of a sword in the stone situation going on over there.
Is that how they choose who the queen is? Do they have to pull the axe from the stump? Is that what it is?
That would make sense. That sounds a lot like one of our traditions, too. But I know
No.
sometimes mortals like those.
She said she was elected. That means that people voted for her.
Grace wants to go try to pull the axe, but even if they can somehow move it out, if it's not really stuck, they want to act like it's stuck. Act like they can pull it out.
I think because you're a clown and things happen to you in the funniest way possible, you go to lift the axe, and you just lift the stump up with the axe still embedded in it. So it's just like you lift it up, axe and stump above your head.
You can't carry the ring, but you can carry Frodo.
What does this mean? Does this just mean I'm the court jester again? Is that what this means? I'm like part
I
of
think
it, but
so.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, I can't use it as an axe, but I could use it as a hammer.
Ooh, true.
And hopefully you won't have to.
I flip it upside down so it lands axe first, and the axe just sits on the ground with the stump on top of it.
I think one of the like a human person who sees you doing this kind of goes, oh, careful with that, that we need to end the ceremony with that.
Oh.
How exactly is it used to end the ceremony?
Well, we got it's kind of a symbolic thing to ensure that the rest of the harvest goes well.
Oh. And is it like symbolically meant to chop anything in particular?
Well, that's what axes are for, ain't they?
Oh, truly, yes.
Ooh.
Am I picking up what this person is putting down?
I don't know. Do you want to draw them out?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would like to. I want to roll whatever is necessary to figure that out. That is also 10 through different rolls and different modifiers.
All right. Ask 2 from the list, please.
Oh, I've looked right past it. What are you forgetting, ignoring, or keeping from yourself?
From themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the answer to that is, this person who is, I'm going to say it's like, kind of a young woman. Uh, I think some part of her knows that, like, it's the X thing. That's not normal. And she grew up with it, so it's, for as far as she knows, she's fine with it, but I think on some level she knows there's something kind of creepy about it.
And what are you afraid I'll do?
I think she's afraid that you'll try to disrupt the harvest somehow.
Okay, so even knowing that it's wrong, whatever it is, she still wants it to go through smoothly for the harvest's sake.
And I think Cookie kind of leans into Grace and goes, "Hey, I'm getting kind of Midsommar vibes from this. Do you not get that reference?"
Some of your movies, again, you've told me about some of them, but I don't. It's like a play.
The movies
something?
haven't quite made it over yet. Some of the books sometimes.
Okay,
don't
well,
read
It's giving a little Shirley Jackson. Definitely is.
I just looked at
Like-
Allegro or Colibri and shrugged. I don't get what they're meaning. Do you understand what they're saying?
just forget it. It's just I got a weird feeling about this place. That's all.
Is it good or bad vibes?
It's weird vibes. It's weird.
Weird.
There were some weird vibes. I did ask a direct question and I was simply ignored, so there is that.
I think there might be better people to ask. I don't know if you all can sense it, but there are definitely other Fae here.
Interesting.
I mean, it
Right.
makes sense. This is between on the precipice. Is that the right word? Of our world.
Yeah, I think that's the right word.
It was on my word of the day calendar. I had to fit it in.
You have a word of the day calendar.
Yeah, I found it in the wagon. It's like 5 years old, but I can still use the days.
I can't even argue with that logic. I suppose you can.
It's always good to use what you have.
I wouldn't mind finding our kin in here, seeing what they know and if they reside here or have just come through like us looking to pass through the boundary.
I mean, if there's weird vibes here and there's Fae here, it could just be them messing with these
It's
people
not.
too.
It's not that. It's not that.
But maybe
We
they
are
know more
also
about it.
Fae. We are also Fae. We've been through other cities, other towns, other places. It's not as bad as this one.
If it was just Fae weird, then I don't think that we would feel weird about it. But I feel weird about it still. So I don't think it's just Fae weird.
Well, I guess we can look around more and see if we can find out anything.
Yeah. How will you search and where?
I will vanish and go incognito and look around.
All right. Please roll for that.
Okay. Let's see. I rolled a 6 on the die and I got +2, so that's a hit. So it just makes me invisible, which is
All
what I
right,
wanted.
good.
I did not want to crit on that one.
All right. You become nearly invisible. Maybe just kind of getting like a predator blur going on, but no, otherwise completely unseen. What do you do?
Grace throws a little smoke bomb down. It's like smoke bomb, and then disappears. They're just gonna walk around while they're stealthed, and no one can see them, and try to overhear what they can about the ceremony and stuff as people are pressing and doing their jobs and stuff.
All right, so you head towards the part of town that borders the orchard, and you can see that the harvest and pressing is well underway. There are adults kind of climbing up the trees on ladders, grabbing bunches of apples, putting them in kind of like leather sacks that they have hanging around their neck and bringing them down. There are kids just picking up apples off the ground where they've already fallen. They're bringing them to a bunch of machines. Some of them are designed to, like, they're hand cranked machine things full of blades. They throw the apples in, and the apples get chopped up into tiny little pieces. And then they take those tiny little pieces, put them into these large barrels, and then start turning these big cranks to push it down so the cider is pushed out, the juices come out, and fall into these metal tubs. And so you do see that's how the cider is made. But you also, people are talking. There's a bit of grumbling of people. Some people would rather be on press duty than on harvesting duty, and vice versa. It's, even though it's the start of autumn, it's a warm day, and so people are working up a sweat. I think one thing you do notice, first off, people are very excited that there's a circus that came to town. They're excited for your performance. They're curious what you're going to do. One thing you do see, I think, of note is you see maybe a 7-year-old child standing next to his mother, who's turning the cider press. And when she undoes the press, there's a bunch of just mashed apple. There's a word for there's a technical word for the leftovers of the cider making process, whose name I don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid goes to pick it up and take it to a trash can, and she goes, no, remember, we got to leave that at the corner of the field. And the kid goes, yes, mama. And the kid runs off and just dumps these apple bits at the corner of the orchard. And the mom says, very good, that's important for the gleaners.
Okay. This is sounding interesting. I'm trying to think if Grace could even do anything with that knowledge.
And you can continue to watch if you like.
Yeah, I think seeing the significance of them laying stuff out weirdly like this, I'll just stay in this area.
Mm-hmm.
I'll climb a nearby tree or something that's already been picked.
All right. So I'll leave you there for now. Let's hop over to Gento. What are you doing right now?
I think Gento would kind of try to see the traffic of people, the flow of where people are going, and kind of use all of their brain cells just to figure out what flow of the people is going away from all of this hubbub.
Mm-hmm. Good question. So I think in this case you you do notice that the primary flow of people, are coming from the orchard to the pressing area and back. There's also a lot of people heading towards the town, the town hall. You are not sure, they don't seem like it's, an important thing to do. It's just maybe there's a bathroom in there or snacks or something like that. But those are the three kind of primary hubs of activity: are the orchard itself, the pressing area, and the town hall.
Orchard, pressing. We've been to the town hall, right? That's where we went.
You were outside the town hall. You haven't gone inside.
Outside. I think, and also Gento thinks, that the best bet is to go to the orchard. So Gento will go to where the others are and says, if there is something fishy going on, I think I will try and look for it somewhere over there, and then just points to the general direction of the orchard. Seems like there are a lot of people going in and out, and this is the farthest I can see that they are going.
It's a good idea to go check the orchard, but I would venture to say part of the reason they're going in and out is that that is where the apples are, and they need the apples to make the cider.
But that's also where. Okay, this is going to sound ridiculous, and hear me out. Axe, wood, apple, tree, wood. And then Gento's like, all right, I need to speak more. So, they're very insistent about the axe in that block of wood not being touched. It's a ritual, blah, 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 blah. What if we try to look for it where it kind of resembles it?
Like the other part of the tree.
Yes. Not exactly. Just what is it about cutting a block of wood is so special to these people?
To be fair, I don't know if they actually specified that it was wood that they would be chopping.
They didn't even technically specify that they would be chopping anything. They said that they needed it to close the ceremony.
I feel like they said that the chopping was an important bit, but they wouldn't. Because I asked, I was like, "Well, what will we be chopping for this fun, delightful ceremony?" And they were like, "Well, what else would it do besides chop things?" And then we moved on.
Yes, that's the exact kind of thing my dad would say when he doesn't want to answer someone's question, though. And that is why I'm dubious. Is Cookie here?
Yeah, Cookie's around.
Cookie, what happens in this midsummer thing?
Okay, well, it's been a while since I've seen it, so bear with me, but yeah.
I haven't seen the movie, so I'm gonna take my headphones off like a few minutes.
I mean, mainly they murder people. That's the gist of it. It's they murder people.
Are you, in your professional human opinion, under the suspicion that they might murder someone here?
Cookie, professional human.
Professional people.
I mean, they seem nice, but also the people in Midsommar seemed nice. That was kind of the whole thing. Nobody. This is weird because nobody looks like a murderer, but what would a murderer look like? That's the whole point. They can look like anybody. But
Remind me again, real quickly. When you murder a human, they don't just come back in the morning, right?
No, they don't come back.
Oh
no, very much not.
Do not.
Oh, that feels like a very strange, fun little thing to do. If that's the case.
I know, that's why they're so protective usually about their safety, because an injury is like real serious for them.
Yeah, like I thought they were worried that Grace was going to hurt herself earlier, not necessarily the axe at first.
Like, I truly apologize. I completely forgot how fragile humans can be.
It's okay. Yeah. I remember one time, Hattercobb kind of pushed me off a cliff as a joke. I'm getting used to it though.
Don't get used to that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh
Don't get
yes,
used to that.
if you need one of us to tell someone off, we can do that mostly. I can't tell Grace what to do, but like anyone else.
Thanks.
I won't tell someone off for you, but I can teach you how to do it yourself.
How to tell someone off, you mean?
Yes. In case no one's there to tell someone off for you. So you can do it yourself.
Well, thanks. I've never been particularly good at that part.
I've got it, don't worry. Hypothetically.
Speaking of being concerned and slightly uptight, it seems like maybe there's more of a fun little mystery here than we were originally expecting. And perhaps you would like. Uh, mm, Perhaps you would like a little bit of a clear head about it, Calix. And I'm going to offer tea and honey cakes to Calix because I think they need it. And
Okay.
I assume that the only reason that Colibri hasn't done it so far is A, making sure no one in the caravan gets lost on the road, and B, probably less supplies or whatnot if we've barely been stopping anywhere.
Yeah, how would any of us ever get lost? That never happens, right?
That one
Oh,
can't imagine.
I think
Right.
Calix is I think Calix would end up taking offense to it a little bit.
Oh.
Like, it's bad for my teeth. Gento, feel free. And I think I am going to march off towards the orchard to try to investigate further.
Ooh.
Gento just like, don't tell me what to do with what I want. May I have some?
Colibri is going to like keep an eye as Calix is leaving, but will give the honey cake to Gento instead.
Thank you.
Oh boy, I think that is a 7. Let's see. Yeah, that's a 7, because when I stepped into winter, I moved a point out of this.
All right.
So-
So on a hit, they may wish become invisible until the next setting of the spheres, sun or moon. And that's it. So if Gento wishes to become invisible, they can.
That's all I've got for you, friend.
Hold on. Yeah, Gento will wish to be invisible.
All right. You fade from view and may remain so until the sun sets.
Yeah. As soon as Gento's fading, like at this point, Gento knows how it works from afar. So Gento, like before fading, just goes.
Use
Homer
this
Simpson
gift
gif.
well, friend.
Oh, where he sinks into the bushes.
Colibri looking a little bit like they had the tea and honey cakes instead. Like, have fun.
Speaking of invisible people, let's check in on Grace. So, Grace, you've gotten your post up in an apple tree, watching that pile of, as Fairy Godmoose in the chat said, pumice is the word for it, the leavings. And then kind of creeping out of the orchard, you see a small, squat humanoid being with pointy ears and kind of gnarled, kind of brownish skin, dressed in mainly in like kind of old-fashioned clothes, but there's like a lot of leaves on it. He just runs up and grabs a handful of the pumice, kind of looks around, making sure no humans are watching, and then darts back into the orchard. And you recognize this as a hob, a sort of kind of elf goblin-y thing that are well known for helping out humans around their homes and around their workplaces.
Ooh.
Like
I
a
want
brownie?
I want to follow
Like a
him.
brownie, yes.
Okay.
Can I tree hop like Naruto style and follow him?
Yes, you can absolutely do your Naruto jumping from branch to branch.
Do I need to put my arms behind my back?
Absolutely,
I
of
didn't
course
stretch out
you
this
do.
chair as much, but yeah,
You
I'll
need to yell
follow.
out your ex-best friend's name as well.
Sasuke.
But yeah, I'll follow along and see where they take the pumice back to. I want to see if they're just and see if like they're doing anything specific, or they're just hungry.
You see The Hob take the Pomace back to a kind of a clearing, kind of off in a distant corner of the orchard, far away from where the humans are currently working. He sets it down, and there are a bunch of other Hobs come out, and yeah, they just start like dipping their hands into this stuff and start eating it. And this is like all of the unjuiced, untasty parts of the apple. This is like the seeds and the stems and the skin and all the dehydrated bits, because all the juice got pushed out into the cider.
Mhm.
So they're just eating everything else besides the juice in these apples, but they seem to be loving it.
Okay. There's just like a little small horde of them. It doesn't seem like there's any other Fae around or anything like that. It just seems like they're feeding.
You don't see any other type of Fae. It's just this group of Hobs. They don't seem feral. Like,
Okay.
they're messy, but they are messy in terms of like they don't care if they're like getting on this stuff, but they're not like they're just like yum.
Okay. And our Hobbs are generally like generally non-hostile towards other Fae. Like, what I know, like if I approach them, do I need to worry about joining the Pomace?
Hobbs are not known to be inherently hostile. They hold grudges like nobody else. Okay. So you don't want to get on the bad side of a Hob. But otherwise, they're just like any other Fae. Some good, some bad.
Cool. Then I'm just gonna pop up and like the pile of them, like not in on top of the food, but like what I did with the huddle, the last thing with the kids, just like next to them. Just pop out of my invisibility next to them.
Yep. And they kind of go, ah! And some of them fall over onto their little behinds and their short stubby legs. And they go,
boo.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Well, I don't know. What are you doing here?
Having lunch. What's it look like?
Oh. They have a bunch of other stuff there too, right? I can get you some.
I mean, now this is you're not from around here, are you?
Nope, just passing through.
All right, okay. All right, okay, pixies, I get it. And like turns the other, like this Hob that's talked darts the other one's like, I got this. And goes, all right, so I know that, Fae like you don't, you're all flitting around being all like, woo, I'm causing miracles and stuff. But let me tell you that we put in the work. We are, we guard this orchard. We keep it from rot. We keep it from blight. We do all that other stuff and all these things that the humans miss. And in return, every year they give us this. This is our due.
Uh-oh.
So hands off, unless you actually want to do the work of maintaining an orchard for generations.
No, that sounds kind of boring. But yeah, you got it on the, I don't know about miracles. I mostly just make people laugh, but that sounds pretty cool. I don't think they're specifically leaving that stuff out for you though. They seem to be like doing some, I don't know, preparations for something. Do they do anything weird for these festivals?
Well, the Pomace is the byproduct of the making of cider, and we get the leftovers because otherwise it would go to waste. That's how it works. Well, what do you mean by weird?
I don't know. They seem to have some weird thing with an axe, and then I came out and followed some of the people, and they seem to be laying that stuff out in very specific locations for some reason. Like,
well, the Pomace is laid out for us, so again, hands off. But you're talking about the axe? Oh, yeah, the axe. You know who Jack Frost is?
Oh, I saw that. What do they call it? A cartoon, right? It's the little winter dude who wanted to get with the blonde chick, so he became human for a little bit, but then at the end she got with the other guy, and he went back to being Jack Frost. It was really sad.
No, the real Jack Frost, dum-dum.
Wait, he's real?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he's the spirit of the first frost of winter. You live in a cave or something?
No, I live in a wagon. It's kind of like a cave though. There's a lot of room in there.
Well, Anyway, every year Jack comes along and tries to freeze all of the apples on the tree be before they can be harvested and ruin the harvest. And every year he is ritualistically murdered.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Oh. That's a lot. I guess it made sense because you can't really kill us. Man, but he gets killed by the same people every year and keeps coming back. You think he'd be smarter than that?
Well, he's set in his ways, I suppose.
Oh, okay. That's weird. You guys want to come watch the circus later? We're putting on a show.
Oh.
You're welcome to join.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, can we bring our pommes, or is outside food not allowed?
You can bring the pommes, no problem. And then we'll have
Hell
more.
yeah.
Well, we can have more on sale if you want more. I can hook you guys
Okay.
up. And I do like the the card trick that the one agent learns from Ant-Man, but I do that with the Carnival tickets and have enough tickets appear in my hand for the little hobs.
Aw. Yep. You hand the tickets over to the hobs and go, all right, well, we'll see you then.
Yeah.
But you won't see us.
Oh, I see everything. And then I pat them on the head and I just want to disappear again.
I won't make you roll for it this time. Just
Okay.
because it's just...
Yeah, I'm just going to stealth away from them and go find the group, pretty much.
All right. All right, Calix, you went off on your own earlier, right?
Yes.
All right. So as you are, where, in what direction do you go?
I said that I went towards the orchard to investigate.
All right.
So I'm hoping I saw at least one hob as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as you pass through the area where the workers are, you also catch glimpses of the hobs. Most of the time they're being helpful. Like some of them are pushing apples that would otherwise go unnoticed towards where the humans are. Though occasionally there's a couple humans where the hobs are just every time his back is turned, they grab a tool and hide it somewhere. So they clearly got on his bad side. But yeah, you do see the hobs. They tend to stay clear of you when they notice you. Though as you get deeper into the orchard itself, you kind of get into an area that's less well manicured. The trees here are wilder, a little more knobbly. There's still apples here, but the apples are a little more hard-bitten, not as tasty looking. And you feel a sudden chill in the air. And from out of the corner of your vision, you see a very tall, slender individual with snow white skin, hair, which is looks like it's kind of like short hair that looks like it's been washed and then gone outside in cold weather, so it's all kind of in little spikes, and eyes of the darkest ice blue. And this person says, well, what are you doing here?
Clearly, I've gone apple picking. What are you doing here?
I'm here to fulfill my assigned role, of course, rolling his eyes as he says so.
And you've chosen here in middle of nowhere, who knows what.
Well, some forms must be observed, that we do not choose the time nor place.
And so you still answer to someone then?
Do not we all?
They may call, but it's up to you whether you answer.
I am older than these humans in their apple orchard. I am older than the trees here. I am older by far than human inhabitants in this region. One day, they will slip up. One day, winter will claim them. I can wait.
And then what will you do with no one to terrorize? Wait another 100 years for a new society to start and do it all again?
I will do as I will. Wherever the wind blows, of course.
Most clever way of not answering me. I will take one of the less nice looking apples from the tree and take a bite of it.
Very well. Well, allow me to introduce myself. And he sketches a bow and goes, Jack of Frost at your service.
Prince of Heart. We can talk. I will offer to shake his hand.
He reaches out and takes it, and you kind of feel hoarfrost going up your arm for just a moment before he releases your hand and says, and what is a prince doing in British Columbia?
Now there's a question I don't have an answer to either. Going home, presumably.
Ah, I see. So when the veil is thinnest, you will push through and be back in Fairyland.
Do I get like a fairy sense from him, or is he something else mythical?
He is definitely a fairy.
Okay.
If you want to kind of understand him a little better, you can size him up.
I don't know. I don't think I actually need to do that because I just want to ask him a question following.
Okay.
Do you ever return? How long has it been for you?
Oh, I go back all the time. My court is always welcoming. Just I have to take this little, call it a work trip every year.
If that is what sustains your court, I will not argue. You don't mean to hurt these people, do you? Just their crops.
I have no grudge against them in particular in their fleeting little lives. Just, I come here, I threaten the harvest, they kill me, I go home. It's a fairly simple affair overall. It does get boring, I must admit. I've been hoping to shake things up a bit this year.
And how do you plan to do that?
I'd like to win this time. Just once.
I'm afraid it will have to wait until next year. And I would like to stand regal before him.
Ooh, okay. Roll to stand regal before someone.
Ooh! Ooh! Sorry, I rolled a natural 10, plus I have +1 for 11, and so I get 3 of the bullet points on the thingamajig.
Okay.
Those are the technical terms.
All right. Choose 3 of the following from that list.
Okay, so I'm gonna say I'm turning winter, so they must bend a knee reflexively. They may not speak, act, or depart until you give them leave. And I'm gonna talk a little bit before I invoke the third one.
Okay. Yeah, so you invoke your full majesty before Jack Frost. Though he is an old spirit, you are still, and it is not winter yet, and you are in the woods. This is your domain. And so he just immediately bends his knee without even like thinking about it. It like takes a moment to realize he's even done it. and he stares up at you with resentment clear in his eyes, but he doesn't speak.
I know bored. I know bored very well. You might be older than me, but I am quite old myself, and I have been here, and I have been there, and I am in British Columbia now with a party of other Fae who wish to do very good for these people. So if you've waited all of these years to win, you can wait one more so that my people can have their win first. Now I will. The third one is that you invite them to come forward and address you. So I will invite him to address me or respond.
Yeah, he gets back up to his feet and says, "Very well, Your Highness. I will bow my head to the headman's axe one more time. But just know, I will not forget this encounter. There may be a time when you are in the cold and will have need of warmth, and you may not find it so easily.
I have my warmth with my people. I handle the cold with them.
Long may it be so." And he dissolves into a cloud of snow, leaving just an icy patch on the ground where the leaves and grasses are all dead.
And he just groans, turns back, and is mumbling as he's walking. Can't be one stop without some nuts of. Can't be one normal performance one time. Gotta be sacrifice. Fucking Jack Frost is here, and that goes all the way until he gets back.
All right. So one more thing before we take our break. Gento, what are you doing with your invisibility?
Mostly listening around of what people are saying. And Gento categorized that tiny mission as, okay, I'm gonna listen to the kids first, and then the teenagers, and then the adults, and then the elderly, and then stops and I'm not gonna go to a gravesite just yet. I'm going to go for these.
All right.
And then that's basically what Gento was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. In that case, yeah, you first find a group of children. The children overall seem to be enjoying themselves. This is a lot of them. This may be their first of these Harvest festivals. There are a lot of games for them to play. A lot of them are enjoying hucking apples at one another as well, because their parents are too busy to really stop them. And you also, yeah, that's about it. The teenagers are definitely the ones enjoying themselves the least here. They are grumbling. None of them really want to be doing this. They think they're too cool for it. A lot of them are looking forward to the end of the festival. They're like, yeah, man, I just really like the axe part. That's my favorite. It's hardcore, man. The adults are mostly all busy. They are turning the presses, picking the apples, chopping them up, etc. Occasionally yelling at the kids when they get too rowdy. From the elderly, though, you get, there's a few elderly folk sitting around. They're too old to really do anything yet. They are enjoying some of the first glasses of cider now that it's been pressed. Then there's actually some available. And they're going, I don't know. This could be a rough winter. I got a feeling this winter could be a tough one.
And in the same way I'm writing furiously right now, Gento is also in their tiny notebook writing, And then once that's done, goes back to the group wherever the group may be.
All right. I can say that everyone who left can all converge around the same time. Before you get a chance to exchange notes, however, Emily's voice kind of echoes out over the area and goes, "Excuse me, y'all. I'm about to draw the festivities to a close. Now, friend Elijah," points to the guy you met when you first entered town, "give the press one last turn." And Elijah takes his big burly arms, grabs the press, and turns it. And a last stream of apple cider flows into that metal tub. And she goes, "All right, let's eat." And now we are going to take a short break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stone and Starlight Carnival. Thank you for joining us. If you missed the first half, the circus arrived in the small British Columbian town of Tsiacha, where they were just about to begin an annual celebration of the harvest of the apples and the first pressing of them into cider. The town was greeted by a human named Elijah and brought to meet the Harvest Queen, Emily. They were invited to perform for the workers once they had finished the work they were doing for the day. There, as they roamed the town, they found that there is a very important axe that they were asked not to touch. They met the Gleaners, a group of helpful hobgoblins who live in the orchard and get the leftovers of the cider making process in return for their services. And Cal also got to meet Jack Frost, who, as we learned, at the climax of the festival every year, is ritually killed to ensure a good harvest and an easy winter. Jack tried to make a deal with Calix, but Calix was not having it, and essentially told this ancient Fae of Winter to go take a hike. But now the day's work is over, the festivities are beginning, which means that the circus needs to figure out what they're going to do for their performance. So once again, let's consider everything we've learned about this town and the nature of the celebration you're performing at, and figuring out what acts you would like to do, or what acts you'd like to be a part of, or services you would like to provide in the behind the scenes.
I think we should bring back the fire breathing.
We can
Based
definitely
on
bring
my
back
notes.
Belly Bellow Bess.
Mentioned
Gento goes,
shooting
based on the
apples, right?
data I have, based on the data that I have acquired, we need a spectacular performance because everyone is apparently very bored in this place.
I don't know how they're
Right.
not all on edge, to tell you the truth. Even if they do it
Oh
every
yeah,
year.
yeah. I mean, they're gonna murder a Fae at the end of all of this. So
Honestly, I think it's because it's become a yearly thing.
Well-
They just got used to it.
I would think for how much mortals worry about that stuff, they'd be a little not as desensitized to that. But
Well, I guess if you kill a winter spirit and he comes back every year, it starts to become old hat. Says Cookie.
I suppose.
It's not just a fae, though. In the courts where you guys grew up, did they ever tell you stories about? And then Calix says, makes a noise that sounds like the whipping of a winter storm, and is understood to you to be Jack Frost, but to Cookie it sounds like very strange.
Gento hears it and stiffens as if there's a chill running down their spine. But it's not the chill that came from what Calix said, it's a chill of something familiar to them that they do not want to interact with at all. And Gento says, so it's Mr. Man Daddy Jack of Frost, you mean?
I would hesitate to call him that, but yes, he's out with the crab apples right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what the people of my generation in the courts I lived in called him. It's not. That was against my will to know.
And he's honestly, I don't think he's very happy with me, but I didn't give him much of a choice, so they should be fine.
What'd you tell him?
Well, he said that he wanted to win this year, and I told him in much fancier noble words to fuck off.
That's a choice.
Well, I don't want to be responsible for these people's failure.
Suppose.
Well, what we can control right now is how we're gonna perform. So, people want something spectacular, something to kind of change their fortunes in the best way possible with all of the ceremony going on. And I think something that would match the apple cider that they're gonna be drinking would be good. So I can handle the food part, I guess.
It looks like they might have musicians of some kind already. We passed a sort of stage earlier.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
perhaps that acrobatic act that you two do might be good.
Yeah, it could be fun. Could incorporate apples into my juggling too during it, maybe.
Oh, that'd be cute.
I also said archery, but I could throw some knives at them too. That could work.
That would also be quite exciting.
I have some feathers we could use.
Ooh. And of course, Cookie, are you ready for your debut?
Sure. Whatever you need.
Well, it's up to you. Are you ready? We've been training for a few weeks now. Do you think you can go on without me?
Yeah, I think I can think of something.
Awesome. So that's
Oh,
3 acts
one
at
more
least
thing.
already.
one more thing. Since we're gonna be dealing with frost, cold, chill, all of the synonyms, all of the things in the thesaurus would have to what is cold, would it make sense if we have a performance that warms the heart?
That was my idea with the fire breathing, but I presume wait, you mean like a less literal warm, like a kumbaya?
Yes.
Oh, Gento, you should sing
Sure.
Kumbaya.
I will not, but I will be serving the food to go along to whoever's singing Kumbaya.
Oh yeah, we need some of that gross apple byproduct. I invited some of the hops from the forest.
Wait, what?
The stuff that came out when they were making the cider, that gross stuff. We need some of that too.
No, 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 the one after.
Oh, I invited some of the hops.
Hobbs are typically friendly. They clearly aren't causing
Yeah.
a fuss here.
Yeah, they just eat the leftovers of their little ritual thing and then keep the orchard clear for them is the gist of what they told me.
Oh,
They seem like
I
cool
see.
guys.
I see. Alright, and then Gento pulls out the notebook. Okay, I'm gonna need to get of that apple residual thing, blah 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 blah, 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 and starts mumbling to themselves about what to get for the show.
Right. So just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, so we've got Cookie doing some clownery. We've got Grace doing some knife throwing. We've got
Doing
Calibri do.
Yeah, I
Sorry?
think Calibri and Grace are doing their acrobatic routine. I'm just going to incorporate some knife throwing into it.
Okay, so so that's an act you're doing together.
Yeah.
Got it.
We can do the tripping gaily move together, so we
Yep.
could just do all of the things.
Yeah, you can use tripping it gaily when we perform there. So it's gonna be something.
It's a
Something.
it's a variety act.
that makes more
I think
sense.
it like sort of fits under feats of valor, generally speaking. Everybody else.
Yeah, and feats of valor definitely if you're doing something like where somebody's tied to a wooden post and you're flinging knives at them or something like that. I don't know, but all right. And then Gento, you said you're on concessions, yeah?
Yeah, Gento basically has a grocery list now because they have an idea of what to offer.
Great. And Calix, will you be ringmastering an act or both?
No,
Or something else?
Calix is still on act strike. He will ringmaster, and then just kind of be around, making sure the audience is having a good time.
Okay, great. So right now we've got two acts. Belly Bellow Bess doing her fire breathing act was also brought in. Do we want to add that to things as well?
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember the name as soon as you say it. The fire breather and Cookie, and then the duo act. I think were the three that we settled on.
Yeah.
All
Do we
right, so let's
physically need more, or are we good?
Let's see here. I think we could do 3 acts. Cookie, Grace and Calibri, and then Belly Bellow Bess. Or would you rather Grace and Calibri? Would you rather end out the night?
I think we should end out the night. Well, do we know when their ritual is happening in relation to our show? Is it before?
After. You know it's going to be after.
Oh,
it's the
I
end
think
of,
that's
it's
a
like the last
perfect
act of the evening.
segue.
Yeah, if it's after, yeah, I'm fine.
And get them
That's
riled
fine.
up.
All right. In that case, we have our. I think we have a thing. So we have Calix, Ringmaster, opening the act. Cookie doing his clowning act. Belly Bellow Bess doing some fire breathing to warm the heart. Grace and Calibri doing acts of acrobatic daring do. We've got Gento manning concessions. All right. Does that seem good to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wonderful. All right. So in that case, we've got, planning the acts, all done. All right. So before the circus actually opens, you partake in the festivities of the actual of the town. Everybody is sitting on these picnic benches. There's lots of apple cider, fresh apple cider. It's amazing. In addition to that, there is pie. There is uh, they've got these really good ribs that they're making. It's an absolutely amazing spread. There is the local band is playing, nothing too special. It's just they're doing like jigs and reels and everything like that. There's some people dancing in the middle. Despite the weariness in their bones and the calluses on their feet from a hard day's labor, they are tripping it gaily themselves. They are enjoying it. Enjoying it because they realize that this is the end of not just the work day, not just the work month. This is the end of the work year for them. And even though there's still apples to be picked tomorrow and there's still cider to be pressed tomorrow, it feels like the last day. It's got an air of relief to things of they've done it. They put in all the labor, they planted the trees, they picked the fruit. Now they get to have fun. But soon, it's time to perform. The big top goes up in the middle of the town green. People shuffle in onto the bandstand that have been converted into bleachers. So a group of townsfolk chattering to themselves, buying concessions from Gento. Gento, besides the pomace for the hobs, what other food are you providing today?
Okay, so Gento, with their limited knowledge of food pairing, but thankfully this one came through. Gento, like on the spread, it's more like a meal kind of thing that's happening, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, okay, so Gento sees like, oh, there's already a shish kebab looking thing over here with the vegetables. Plan B. Gento goes like, okay, what's the easiest to make right now? And then Gento like takes out like quickly gets some flour and everything. Eventually, Gento arrives with like a box filled with sugary donuts.
Ooh.
And then Gento's like, this is a little bit of cinnamon, I think. Did I remember cinnamon? You know what? It's fine. People like donuts, I hope. And then goes around just telling donuts, donuts.
Yes, Gento, your instincts are good here because nothing goes better together than cider and donuts, and people are that shit is selling like hotcakes, to use a phrase. Though people are loving it, and you've also got like another thing. So the much shorter hobs are kind of filing in. The humans don't seem to notice them. They're effectively invisible to the humans, and they're just grabbing like from like a pile of pomace that you've put down there, just being like, "Oh yeah, this is the good stuff." One thing that you all notice though is there are 2 seats of honor set up on either side of the tent. In one is the Harvest Queen, Emily, looking pretty tipsy. She's clearly been enjoying herself this evening. She's still got her crown and gown on. And the other seat sits empty for now.
It's for whoever kills first.
And now, the show begins. Calix, please take it away.
Good evening, town of Siacha. It's been a while since we have seen a crowd so joyful and beautiful as all of you. I will lock eyes with a PTA mom at random.
He goes, "Whew!"
I think we have quite an occasion to be celebrating. I think this is bigger than a birthday party. This is bigger than the beginning of something, but a celebration of a season of work well done. and a harvest of cider so extraordinary I have never tasted any quite like it before. And are we starting? Is it Cookie or Bess starting?
It's Cookie, but before you do that, I'm gonna say what you're doing sounds like you're opening up to them to kind of say like, "Hey, everyone, I'm one of you, and I'm enjoying myself." So
Oh.
please roll to open up to someone.
Are you guys ready for me to fail the third circus roll?
Let's go.
I did.
What'd you
I
get?
did. Well, I rolled a 3, and then I have a -1, so that'd be 2.
All right. So the townsfolk's eyes are on you. I don't think they don't seem angry or anything like that, but I think your highfalutin language is a little bit going above their head a bit. They're kind of turning to each other and go like, "What's that mean?" I don't know, but yeah. So otherwise, the town seems excited to see what happens next. And okay, now you can introduce Cookie.
Yeah. And I don't mean to keep you all waiting. Here to warm your hearts and your spirits, the one and only, the best new clown on the block. Please welcome Cookie to the stage.
All right. Cookie walks in his clown makeup and outfit that is, again, kind of a mirror to Grace's. Red where theirs is black, and black where theirs is red. Or hers is red, excuse me. And she kind of does a bow, and she calls for some music, and the circus musicians strike up a kind of merry tune. And she starts to go into this kind of pantomime, doing a sort of parody of the apple picking process. She sets up it's like a stand that she's like hung some apples on, and she grabs a ladder and starts like twirling it around and starts knocking things over with it. And then tries to pick something up she knocked over, and the ladder spins around and knocks over the tree with all the apples on it. And the crowd's kind of eating it up, laughing at her as he just kind of generally makes a mess and eventually fixes it, like puts up the apple tree, but then all the apples fall off. And instead of putting the apples in the barrel, he puts the apples back on the tree and then sets up the ladder. It's some good old classic clownery and slapstick. So as this is happening, we can use our first circus power. I'm going to either Cal or Gento, since neither of you have performed. Would one of you have in mind a circus power to use? And also to clarify something from last week, when you invoke a circus power, you don't vote on your own. So your 2 votes, neither of them, you can't vote for your own, so you don't have to use up one of your votes on your own circus power. So, Cal or Gento?
Would you like to take it?
I can take it. I feel like the obvious choice for Cal is to push the circus towards Fairyland as the circus action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. All those in favor? We have 1, 2, 3. All right. We have a unanimity. So when you turn the circus's course to the other word, when you leave from this place after the show, you will arrive in the other world. So you are definitely going home. That is locked in. All right. After a while, eventually, Cookie ends up with a bushel full of apples and takes her bows to the laughter and enjoyment of the townsfolk, picks up the barrel, walks off, trips over her feet, sends apples everywhere, kind of goes off going, I didn't even actually mean to do it that time. Next up comes Belly Bellow Bess. Belly Bellow Bess has decided, who again is like a kind of a Zaftig elf woman comes in. She's got her hair all done up with apple blossoms, and she's got some lit torches coming in, and she's juggling the torches, and she's on a unicycle this time. She's decided to switch things up a bit, and she begins whirling around the ring of the circus, juggling these torches. Occasionally, she swings one up in the air, and then she just opens her mouth wide. The torch just goes bloop, right down her gullet. She spits it out. Out comes the torch, no flame, but then she lights it with one of the other torches and continues on. And the townsfolk are enjoying it quite a bit. This is definitely not something they're used to. They've seen a clown show. They don't get to see people juggling fire very often. All right, Gento, your turn. What circus power would you like to use?
I think Gento would. I think Gento would either give this place its voice or make the audience dance to your tune. Honestly, at this point, I think Gento doesn't really give any mind to like what the place has something to say. They just want to get out of there. So yes, make the audience dance to the tune.
All right, in that case, we won't vote. Instead, roll to draw someone out.
Hold on. Wait, what is my draw someone out? Oh, okay.
It's a 6.
All right. So let's see what's going to happen on a 6. Sorry, one sec. Cat. All right.
The boy baby.
All right. So on a 6, I think. All right, I've got it. So you kind of try to invoke the power of the circus to draw things in. Belly Bellow Bess's performance is getting applause and laughter. It's overshadowed, however, as she takes her bows when the entrance to the circus opens and in walks Jack Frost.
Son of a bitch.
Resplendent in a silvery white robe, with a crown of icicles adorning his brow. And the crowd boos at him, going boo, boo. And he just kind of assumes a haughty disposition, and walks to the empty chair opposite the Harvest Queen and sits down, kind of glowering at the audience, hamming it up like he's a wrestling heel a little bit. And so, unfortunately, your attempt to make the audience dance to your tune, is just there for just a moment. The center of attention is no longer the circus; it is Jack of Frost.
Oh,
All
for
right.
your turn, Mr. Frost.
I think after earlier conversations, I think all manners have gone out the window.
Oops.
All right, Cal, as our ringmaster, what do you do?
I think I think I will encourage their enthusiasm, but still try to reel them back in to the circus. Be like, I love a crowd that expresses just how they feel. Let's give another hand to Bess with her fantastic fire-breathing performance. And that's not all. We have one more for you. Duo act. 2 people that you've come to meet today. We have Grace and Colibri performing acts of valor and daring to wow you tonight. I will motion you on.
All right, take it away.
I feel like we should fly in with you holding Grace. Like,
Oh yes, delightful.
Since we both can use my move, should we both just roll it and then go back and forth with Gailey and say what we do?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Let me pull it up so I remember what the general.
I rolled an 8, so I can do, I believe, 3 or 4, something like that. Let me see.
Let me look up the rules for tripping at Gailey again.
Yeah, I can choose at least 4 or 5, and then the MC decides when the finale hits. Okay.
Yes. All right. So yes. In that case, choose as many of the following from that list as you like in any order, repeating freely as quickly as you can. End with a finale.
Okay. I'll start, I guess, with I fall, as I will have Colibri drop me, and I will flip and land on one foot on the wire that we have set up across the trees.
And I will dive and go from my winged form to just my average performing self with a cloak on into a perfect pose on the same opposite sides.
Then I will produce, because I have everything, in one hand of 3 daggers, in another hand 3 apples.
And I will make a show of catching the apples. Are you gonna throw those knives at me?
Yep.
Delightful, perfect.
I am going to toss the apples so that one lands in each of their hands and one lands on top of their head. And then I will toss the daggers after them. You don't die. That's what you gotta choose.
That's what I gotta choose, is don't die. I will strut back and forth, trying to make it difficult, but also managing not to get my limbs cut off.
All right, give me one more.
I don't think, how should we end this? I will run across, grab a dagger, and cut the rope, and have a slight swing down to like slide and do like a big pose to end it.
Oh, I love that. All right. I think as a roll to see how well that comes off, I'd like one. Yes, I would like, since you're doing this together, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you both to draw someone out, roll to draw someone out, and we'll take the higher result.
Okay. Are we choosing the same person or each picking a person?
The person you're drawing out is the audience.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Me.
I hope you roll well. I think I have inherited the dice curse.
I rolled my first spelled roll of this game. That's a 6.
No! Well, that's better than my 5.
I had just took 1 point out of draw them out after the shift, and that made me fail.
Uh-oh.
All right. I think what happens is, you go to this grand finale of swinging down the ropes, the rope that you were tight walking on, and hit your poses, and the audience goes wild, but you feel the gaze of Jack Frost upon you, and he doesn't crack a smile, not even a little. So both of you step towards Winter as Jack Frost's displeasure lands upon you.
Okay.
I think everyone can see as Colibri comes up from their bow that they're usually kind of updo. That kind of, as some curly hairs want to do, sort of defies gravity at all times, kind of like falls out of its tie and starts to like cascade down heavier than it was.
And for Grace, all of the bloody crimson colors across their outfit and makeup and everything switches to an iridescent purple as their whole color scheme kind of shifts.
Mm-hmm. And Grace, as that purple goes across your outfit as you change more toward your wintry form, you have a sudden flash of memory of hushed words beneath the leaves of a great tree, of fairy gold changing hands, of secret instructions passed along to you.
Yeah. I remember something.
Mm-hmm.
Want to make eye contact with Frost and open up to them.
Okay.
I want to like push a pulse of magic to try to like connect.
All right.
That is going to be. Where's my stats? Luckily, I'm good at that. Yeah, luckily, I'm good at that. That's a 7 with the +2.
Mm-hmm.
So I get
right,
1, I believe.
Yep, you choose one from the list.
I'm going to do reveal to them something you're considering and judge their reaction to this. And what I'm considering is helping them win.
Oh. So, yeah, you, with your eyes and a little hint of magic, show this consideration to Jack Frost. And for the first time since he enters the tent, Jack Frost's icy frown turns slightly upwards at the corners, telling you, I would like that.
I grin back and I just stress patience across the line.
All right. Ooh. All right. I'm going to say just, Colibri, while this is happening, you get to invoke one of the circus's powers.
Ooh. Do I notice at all that little brief exchange between Grace and our good old Jack, or nah?
I'm gonna say, since the roll was a success, I'm gonna say no.
In that case, I have no idea what happened there, and I'm gonna try to captivate Frost, I think, specifically.
Okay. So you're going
before
to
that happened,
Jack
all
Frost.
I saw was that he didn't seem interested, and that should change. Oh gosh,
all right,
okay.
That should be interesting. All right, who votes to captivate Jack Frost?
I mean, that helps my plans out, so yeah.
That one. Any other votes? No? All right, in that case, we've got a... so it's 2 votes. Oh. Calix, are you also voting in favor of? You're muted.
Friends.
Oh yeah, I'll vote in favor of it.
Okay, in that case, we have a majority. All right. In that case, Jack Frost will attempt to meet the performers after the performance to offer praise, opportunity, and/or largesse, assuming he survives.
Fair.
All right. So let's. So I'm going to say now, Calix, please take us out of the performance. Then we will let one more. Then we will have one more circus power, and then continue.
Yeah. I think I'll just rile up the crowd for a final round of applause, kind of like, and how was that? How spectacular was that? Where else are you going to see knives and apples and clowns and fire all in one place? Final hand, please, for our lovely performers, and you've been such a great audience tonight. A hand for you just as well.
Yes, the crowd applauds. They're smiling. They've definitely been enjoying themselves. Emily, from her throne, lifts up a cup of Applejack, hard apple liquor, in salute. All right, and Grace, please invoke our final circus power of the evening.
I will invoke taking the circus towards winter.
Why would you do that?
Joining towards winter isn't a bad thing, but also you don't have to vote for it. But yeah, all in favor. You get one vote in favor. So normally this would be a split or minority, but Jack Frost is here, and Jack Frost is a problem, so Jack Frost gets a vote, turning this minority into a majority. Everyone steps once towards winter.
If we take step 1 towards winter, we can also change like the stat number
Yes.
if we so
whenever
wish,
you
right?
whenever
Yeah, you
you
can
step
move
towards
one.
winter or step towards summer, you can rearrange. You can swap out you can take one away from one stat and add one to another.
What's the max again? Is it 3, right?
The max is 3.
Okay. Going to shift something that I'm about to use here in a second.
Me doing math. I'm too gay for math.
All right. So quickly describe how each of you, as Grace, with Jack Frost's help, kind of sends a chill through the air. Describe how each of you changes.
I can go first since I kind of pushed it. It's kind of a subtle change for Grace this time, as I'm shifting their pronouns to they, them. Just seems to be a little more, less Pitsy-like and more somewhere. It's hard to describe it. Maybe a little more serious, and maybe some of their features kind of get a little sharper, if that makes sense.
Right, we have a slight change in gender identity and expression for Grace, going from she, her to they, them.
I think Colibri, despite already having like gone from like a little bit droopy and a little darker and a little sharper, still had that sort of I'm here to play and I'm here to perform and I'm here to be with friends kind of vibe. All of that charm just kind of seeps out into the cold, and they're just a bit more unapproachable.
Awesome.
Gento in the crowds kind of like puts the box down, feels something changing in their body, and anyone who looks at them will see that their green hair has turned pitch black, and it has grown longer and longer. And without a word, Gento produces a hair tie from one of their pockets, and ties their hair in a very, very tight bun. It's as if it's pulling onto their scalp, and
Awesome.
removes the colored scarf and like just no, and I can't remove it anyway. Here we go.
Trapped.
Yeah, removes it, and looks at it, throws it away.
He lands on a hob who's just like, "Oi, what the?"
It's yours now if you want it.
Thanks. And lastly, Cal.
Yeah, Calix's hair is usually sort of a copper color, but it's started to get like strands of gray, silver, kind like as a mortal would age and get the salt of the salt and pepper. That has sort of happened in a more like a luminescent, bright way. And overall, his demeanor has I guess there's always some level of caution with people around him, but he is like downright unapproachable now.
All right. The mortals in the audience don't really notice this change. You already exist outside of their world and their experience. So as far as they know, you've always been like this. Except for Cookie. Cookie has been around you long enough and eaten your food long enough to realize, whoa, something's weird happening here. But yes, as this ends, Emily, the Harvest Queen, gets up from her throne, stumbling a little bit, but staying upright, and goes, "Well, thank you kindly, thank you. That was an absolutely amazing performance. Wouldn't y'all agree?" And, everyone cheers and claps. But, all right, it's been a long, long day of hard labor, and it's about time we wrap things up. Friend Elijah, please. And Elijah comes out comes into the tent, holding the large brass-bladed axe over one shoulder. And Jack Frost steps off of his chair of honor and moves towards the center of the ring along with Elijah. And Emily says, "All right, now, as is custom every year, before we do this, does anyone want the honor of swinging the axe?"
I'll do it.
All right. Grace, I'm going to have to ask you to roll to... this seems like rolling to draw someone out to make sure that...
Okay.
To convince them that you intend to actually do what you're intending to do.
That will be another 7.
All right. So on a 7, you can say, "I do it." So this could be, "I do indeed draw you out by doing X." What's the effect? So how do you convince them that you are utterly sincere in your desire to behead Jack Frost?
I just give them the most bloodthirsty look I can think of. Just go full feral, like Cheshire sharp fey teeth and everything.
All right. She goes, "Well, now, I don't see why one of our lovely, talented guests couldn't take a whack." And she gestures for you to step forward. Elijah hands the axe to you. The handle is worn ash-wood. It's clearly been handled with care by generation upon generation of residents here on the coast of British Columbia. You can feel the history in it, the human history. So much shorter than what you would get in Fairyland, and yet heavier all for it. And Jack Frost gives you a meaningful look and bows his head, ready to take the blow. What do you do?
So I grab the axe. and I make it so that like as I'm walking up to him, only he can like see my face. And I give him a little wink. And as I approach and I raise the axe up, I bring it down and snap the handle over my leg. And then I want to grab him and vanish,
All right, roll to vanish.
which is what I've moved up stat wise when we just shifted. So let's see. I now have a +3 to vanish.
Ah.
And that's an 11. Let's go.
Oh
We
my
can go
God.
anywhere.
All right.
We're going to
You've
go
gone.
over the veil. We're gone. We're out of here.
All right. So yeah, you snap the axe haft over your knee and grab Jack Frost, and in a swirl of dust and snow, you cross the veil into fairyland, home free, before anyone can react. The rest of you, however, the crowd just watches with utter disbelief and horror at what just happened. And then they start booing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have all three of you roll to weather the storm.
Love you
And
guys.
that's what I took out a stat from. Dang it.
Oh, that's what I added a stat to. I had a failing.
Oh, I
Um,
rolled double sixes.
Oh, nice.
That is a 10 total.
Nice.
A 3.
All right, so let's start with the hits. So both of you rolled above a 10. So first you can choose one. You can say, the storm rages around me but doesn't move me from my place, or I ride the storm where it carries me but don't lose my feet.
I don't know what Calyx is leaning towards. I think I'm leaning towards riding the storm, like, out of town.
I think I definitely want to ride the storm because Calyx is incredibly angry, and pending Pluto's approval is going to yell at Grace.
That's fair. I mean, that's our dynamic. So that's fair.
Some people don't like their characters to be yelled at because it's
No.
kind of traumatic. So I was like, I'm gonna
We
ask.
established our dynamic is I do shit and then you yell at me for it. So that's fine.
All right. And both of you get to choose 2 or 3 from the list on the move description. So things you can do or are to describe how you weather the storm.
Is that for me? Sorry.
You
I-
choose-
That's for
Does
that's
it-
for our successes first.
Successes. Okay, gotcha.
I want to choose. I provide common direction to those around me. I am patient enough, and I am strong enough.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think that works well because I think Colibri is going to go for I am quick enough, I can endure the pain, and I can provide strength and protection to those around me.
All right. Wonderful. And Gento, you get to choose one from that list of things you are or can, and one that you definitely aren't or can't do.
Gento is definitely strong enough, but isn't patient enough.
All right. So I will say in that case, Colibri and Calyx, you are able to kind of bear this brunt of displeasure from the humans and Fae gathered, and are able to leave with dignity and bring Gento with you, despite the fact that Gento is strong but is also clearly agitated. Gento, when injury and harm for fairies is a bit it's different than humans. You can literally insult a fairy to death. It's not that hard. So the boos, the displeasure, the people hurling insults at you, it wounds you on a level that's both psychic and physical. Since you're a fairy, when you're wounded, shocked, affronted, or dismayed, you must immediately choose one of these options. You can just die. You can withdraw at once in a cold, dignified fury. You can writhe, moan, and curse in a display of melodramatic agony. You can step immediately and fully to winter, or you can consider yourself cruelly mistreated and maimed in long nursery injuries and grudge.
Colibri would have to drag a dead body for a little bit.
Oh, I would definitely love to step fully into winter.
All right. Please tell us what it looks like when you step fully and completely into winter.
So the clothes don't change. It's kind of like not the best time to change clothes, but Gento's entire features turn sharp. Like Gento used to have very soft features, like warm, huggable, all of that. But as everyone is like filing out, like getting out of that place, you see that Gento has started to like have sharp angles all over their body, their jaw, their cheeks, their elbows, their hands. And you see Gento getting paler and paler, and their eyes just turning so dark, it's almost pitch black. And you see that something is appearing on around Gento's neck, which is a necklace. It's a pendant of sorts with a black kind of lace wrapping around Gento's neck. And you see that Gento's jaws are locked in fury and frustration and impatience at what is going on. And you see Gento turn around and really like just they let themselves be carried, dragged back into the caravan. But they're really like, you know the Timon and Pumbaa scene where hold my tail, let me at him.
Colibri like barely with enough strength to be like, no, we're not doing that.
We need to get going. We just need to get going.
Yes. And luckily, since you had 2 good rolls, you were able to get out of the tent, and now the veil is the thinnest it can possibly be. And without any further ado, you all can just step over the veil. Carts, concessions, wagons all vanish like that, leaving the townsfolk wondering, curious. Siacha, in its long history, this has never happened before. They don't know what the winter brings. Meanwhile, back in Fairyland, before the rest of the circus arrives, Grace, you stand face to face with Jack Frost, who is laughing, and it's a cruel, sharp sound, like ice on a lake snapping beneath your feet. He goes, "Oh, I am in your debt, little fairy."
Yes, you are. I will make sure to collect in the near future. But that was fun. And I just like reach out a hand.
He takes your hand and gives it a shake, and just like when he shook Calix's hand before, you feel hoarfrost creep up your arm.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Winter comes soon. I suspect that we will meet again very, very shortly. I look forward to paying this debt off.
Sure. See you later, Jackie boy. And I pull him in and give him a kiss on the cheek and then skip off to where I think everyone's going to show up by the veil.
I think for a moment your lips get stuck to his cheek, and he's like, "Oh no, hey, oh." And he grabs his cloak and pulls it around him and disappears in a whirlwind of ice. And shortly thereafter, the rest of the circus arrives. What do you all do?
Grace is just standing there with their hands behind their back, just smiling as everyone shows up.
Hold on, let me check something real quick.
I know, like me. What moves can I use?
Yes, bring it to me.
Okay, cool. Well, I know what I'm doing. It's I don't really know if it's a move. I think it's just the anger that comes with winter and the entire situation. And I think Calix is going to lock eyes with Grace as they cross through the veil and basically storm towards you and throw a right hook.
That definitely sounds like you're waylaying them.
That's waylaying and not confronting? It doesn't matter to me. Really?
If you actually mean to harm them, that would be waylaying them. If you just want to give them a dressing down, that would be confronting them.
I think it's more of an expression of frustration. I wouldn't want them to be seriously injured.
Okay.
But I think I have the same stat in both of them anyway, so I don't think it matters. That is 8.
All right. On any hit, you interrupt them and they can't proceed without dealing with you. So you get up in Grace's face. On a 7 to 9 hit, if they don't want to back down or force your hand, they can try to prevaricate, mollify you, explain, bargain, or justify themselves instead. So, Grace, you have the choice to either back down, force Calix's hand, or you can try to talk your way out of it. But first, so when you punch Grace, just describe how that happens, though.
Yeah. So, like I said, Calix storms up. I think this is a fury that none of you have seen from him because he tends to withdraw when he's upset about things, rather than confront in any fashion. But this is loud. This is loud rage, and I think he swings without really knowing what he's doing, and it connects. And then he pulls away and kind of shakes his hand as he prepares to read you the riot act.
All right, Grace, do you back down, give way, or force their hand, or do you prevaricate, mollify, explain, bargain, or justify yourself?
I'm gonna back down and let them rant. But I was looking at my character sheet because do I have something for Cal? And Cal chose me for one of their connections that says when they confront me, I can consider it an insult. So I'm gonna.
Oh,
Grace is gonna note this, but
it is an insult.
But
he's furious.
Back down.
All right. That is incredibly juicy because considering an insult means that they've given power to you.
Mm-hmm.
Calix, you have a power over Calix because you can take your revenge at some other point and no one can really say anything about it. Yep. But yes, but Calix, you are free to, in the meantime, say whatever harsh words you want to Grace.
Do you mean to make a mockery of me? Is this a joke to you? This is all of our lives. We spend every day in that caravan. That's an entire town full of people that you just left. This is about duty. This isn't for fun all the time. I told that man that I could count on you for warmth, and you just plunged an entire town into winter.
I don't see what that has to do with us. We did our performance and we made it home, so
Have you no honor?
I do have honor.
Clearly not, Grace.
One of our kind wanted to win for once, and I gave him a little nudge.
One of our kind that they tell bedtime stories about so you don't leave your room.
And what's the worst that can happen?
I'm done. I'm going into the cart.
Love you.
Great. Calibri.
Could I use watch for your chance and at the as Calyx leaves just when I predicted it would happen, I'm already in motion. To I don't want to necessarily intercept, but to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Roll for it.
Let's see how this goes. Oh dear. Ooh, that's a 5.
All right.
Oh no, I have to choose one anyway, but prepare for the worst. Okay, so what's the worst? Hit me.
Right. Okay, so you said so the one you said at the precise moment that Cal storms off, you would follow essentially.
Yeah.
Or the second, or when just happens just when you predict it, you're already in motion. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick that over to Calyx actually. Calyx, you see Calibri approaching. After that, what do you do?
Now, as a player, am I supposed to be enacting what like the worst thing could be?
You
or
do
what I think
whatever
the worst thing could be?
You do what you think Calyx would do in this situation, considering Calyx's state of mind.
Okay. I think they know that you're following them, and I'm just like, and I'm mad at you too. Forget it. Duo act. Fucking stupid am I? And walks into his own cart and slams the door.
Oof.
I think Colibri has that final step full into winter.
Tell us about it.
I think everything else about Colibri is kind of darkened and sharpened and mellowed out in a way. And despite that, there is still something kind of like enticing about the way that they dressed and like presented themselves. And the smell of honey and like honey tea kind of fresh out of the pot just evaporates into this damp, like petrichor smell as like their clothes lose. There's their whole aura loses that like sweet smell, and their clothes loses that entire kind of enticing glow to it, and it's just they're nothing pretty anymore. They just exist.
Wonderful. And finally, Gento, what are you doing, having taken some truly bad emotional damage?
Gento kind of slowly walks closer to Grace and says, I truly pity you. Did you know that? I truly pity you. How fucking empty you must be to have done something like this. It's a shame. all this facade of being a bright, gremlin-y person, and yet it just hides the truth that you are nothing but someone who seeks out validation from someone who would plunge the humans into winter. How sad. How pitiful. And then Gento reaches up a hand to like caress Grace's face. And then I would like to use break them.
Roll to break someone.
That sounds fun.
If it misses, that's on me. This is my.
That's just fun. I get to bounce something on your playboards to learn what you can do to me right now.
That's an 7. So when I break someone on a 7 to 9 hit, I merely wound, crush, and thoroughly dismay them.
So are you... Oh, dang.
Oh,
Well,
+2 to the roll?
so that's still a 9.
That's
so
still a
That's still a 9, yes.
Okay. Still, we appreciate it. Okay, so
If it's a
when you say-
10, I mean...
What if we just bumped it up?
Oh.
Another one.
I mean,
I'm sitting on 23,000 channel points.
okay.
But I will not interfere as it is a
You know what?
conflict.
All right.
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah.
I think actually, you know what? I think it doesn't make sense if somebody redeemed their +2 magic item and it didn't change the result of the roll. So let's treat it as a 10 then.
Ooh,
Choose one
interesting.
from that
Okay.
list.
Okay, so when I break someone, I choose one from the list, and the list includes you cow them so utterly that you change them bodily into something meek and retiring. Perhaps, yes, a cow. Perhaps a mole, a rabbit, a skittish little quail, a big-eyed, frightened, gasping fish.
Which is it?
So as Gento, wait, they're not Gento anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Ela puts a hand on Grace's face, caresses, but the nails are like scraping against the cheek, and some form of magic is flowing from Ela to Grace. And then, with the blink of an eye, Grace has turned into a rat that Ela immediately grabs and puts in a makeshift cage and says, "This is what you get, because nothing is more deserving of your form than a sewer rat that betrays its own people." And then Ela puts it, hangs the cage behind their shoulder and then walks towards the caravan.
Ela,
Okay.
do you think perhaps I could hold the rat, as it were?
Suit yourself. And then Ela just
I'll kind of slowly pace myself back to my own cart. Every season has its time. I don't necessarily blame you for what happened. If this is what tradition leads to, maybe things need to be broken sometimes. I'm going to keep you in the cage, though, so eventually I'll let you out, but...
I had a plan for this later, but this seems like a moment to use it now instead.
Okay.
I want to wink at Colibri, and then I want to call in the favor to be transported away from here.
Oh,
and
the favor from
from
Jack
Jack,
Frost?
transported away and disfixed. And we'll call it even. And I just want to vanish from the cage completely into like a puff of snow.
All right, I think we end on that. Calibri, you hang up the cage in your cart and turn your back, and the moment you do, the cage is empty. Just a small pile of rapidly melting ice crystals to indicate that anything was ever there. And that's where we're going to end it tonight. Wow,
Drama.
okay.
Wow.
That was amazing. Yeah,
Just want to
major
say
drama.
again, I love you guys.
All right, everyone. Please take a moment to reintroduce yourself, and take a moment to plug, where we can find you and any upcoming projects people should keep an eye on.
So I think after how that ended, and because I went last at the beginning, I think I start this out right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So hey everyone, I am Pluto. And when I'm not being vindictive and evil on stream, you can find me on my channel and on the initiative order where I am a community leader, as well as everywhere else on social media at Pluto Cleric. Currently, let's see, as I look at my calendar, because time's weird. Every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, I am Frankie Oliver, the Green Ranger, in a Power Rangers RPG game called Arcanites. So tune in for that every second and fourth Monday there. And then on rotating Mondays when I'm not there on my own channel every first and third Monday, I am currently running a Pathfinder game with an all non-binary table, raising money for the Trans Empowerment Project. Been a couple episodes in the hole because of in real life stuff, but we should be back, I believe, the 17th. So tune in for that. We have a lot more to dive into. But yeah, that's all plugged for now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to throw in. Oh, last thing. Season finale of the Gainer Gossip, Me and the Voice podcast, will be up Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern with our final interview with B. Dave Walters. So tune in for that. I will be promoting the hell of it tomorrow on my Twitter. So look out for that for all the details. And I will pass it over to Allegro.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Alluring Allegro, everywhere on the internet, but specifically on Twitch and Twitter. I'm a variety game streamer, and actual play performer. I don't have anything particularly large coming up, but besides Stone and Starlight Carnival, aside from a 3-part series in the Monster of the Week system coming up starting Saturday, July 15th, sorry. Over on Stella Luna's channel, it'll be a bunch of mixed experience actual players doing not quite Ghostbusters in 90s London, but not London, but fantasy. It'll be a great time. And I think that's all I've got going on. That's where you can find me. I will throw it over to Peku.
Hello, I promise I'm not that mean in person. Anyway, my pronouns are they, them. You can find me on Twitter at Pukepeku, that's Pukepeku. I usually announce my stuff over there. I'm also Pukepeku on Wibbler, just trying it out. So far, so good. Who knows how it's gonna pan out. But yes, I am currently a producer for a queer student film, and you can find the details of that on my Twitter as the pinned tweet. We're currently crowdfunding for it because making a film, even if you're a student, is hard. So we'd really appreciate the support. And we also got our cast already for that film as well. So we're very, very excited to finally get the ball rolling on the shoot. I am also... Well, you can find most of my stuff on my Twitter because I have my card link there. It's pokepeco.card.co. So just check it out if you want to hire me for anything and whatnot. You know where to find me. Yes. And Max.
Hi, I'm Max. You can find me anywhere that I want you to find me on the internet at Arcane Goth. I also never yell in real life ever. So, or at least not in that context. I promise I'm nice. You can find me on Neon Lights Roleplay every other Tuesday in their Yiddish fantasy game. Super cool. Hopefully coming back soon. We had some time off because of scheduling issues. At the end of this month at TTRPG, where I am story director, we have Fae Fair. Fae Fair is a charity event, raises money for Trans Lifeline, so please check that out. I also will be vending at Shaolin Comic Con that same last weekend in July. If you like my crochet stuff, come buy some of it. I have no job right now. And then I'll be at Gen Con. That's all.
All right. And once again, I'm Abby. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at abhorrentabby, ABHORRENT, Abby. You can also find me on Start Playing Games if you are interested in booking my professional GM services. So if you like what you saw here and want to experience similar levels of action, drama, and angst, you can book me. I currently have slots available in games of Dungeons and Dragons, Cairn, which is an OSR game, and Apocalypse Keys. And if you have any specific requests as well, I also take requests. You can find me on Start Playing Games at startplaying.games/GM/AbbyGames. Once again, this has been the Stone and Starlight Carnival on the Critical Misses channel. We are going to be here next week to explore some of the fallout of what just happened, because I need to figure out what the hell I'm going to do next week to top this. And yeah, after this, we are going to be raiding to Neon Lights Roleplay. And thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Let's go, clowns!
Let's go, clowns!
Let's go.